All right, we're live right now. Okay, good morning, everyone. Hello, and welcome to this first edition of Remology Reports. I'm here today with Frederic Laroche. He is our first guest this morning. And Frederic Laroche is coming to us from France. He is in Grenoble, France. He is a software engineer who has worked as a high school teacher in France and has traveled in India and worked in India. He's also worked as an activist for the protection of civilians from the use of directed energy weapons and neuroweapons on the populace, an issue that is actually global currently and is of great concern to people around the world. So today, what we are going to do is really probe Frederic Laroche's situation. What has really happened is currently, Frederic Laroche, by reason of his activism, has unfortunately been, it appears to be, framed by local police in Grenoble, France, detained wrongfully, and he is currently in a situation where he is being dosed wrongfully with a psychiatric drug, an antipsychotic, at a very high dosage. So we're going to try to probe that situation. What exactly has happened currently? How he came to be detained in a local jail, and how that led to a more dramatic situation where he was then sent to a psychiatric institution, and where a psychiatrist on board came along and started to put him on various drugs. So he has a few horror stories about psychiatric malpractice here to detail, and this is what we're here to probe. How is it that the state mechanism can possibly exist in this day and age in France? And of course, as we all know, it exists in the USA as well. It exists in other parts of Europe as well, where psychiatrists are working with local law enforcement to suppress and repress activism by the use of drugs. So this situation is absolutely horrifying and something that needs to be probed in detail. So I urge you all to take a listen to Frederic's story. So we're going to start. Before we start, Frederic, I guess you always have the option to do this witness affirmation, which is, I think, from the British courts, but it's sort of a neutral affirmation, just to state that what you are going to talk about is nothing but the truth. So if you want to go ahead and do that, feel free.
Yes, sure. So I do solemnly and sincerely and truly declare and affirm that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you so much, Frederic. I guess with that affirmation, every bit of your testimony here can indeed be used in a court of law anywhere. So
Yeah.
with that behind us, let's get started. So very recently, you had this situation develop, correct, where you were arrested. So can you just tell us a little bit about the events leading up to that arrest?
Yeah, actually, in the months of April and May in France, it was a period very particular. It was election day for the new president of France. So since the month of January, I was preparing a letter, and in that letter, I wanted to bring up the case of the Dr. Catherine Orton and my case, and I had taken many weekends to write a long letter to talk about her case and my case, and slowly in my head, it came the idea that at the moment of the election, I should send this letter to everyone in France, to the deputies, the senators, the syndicates, the media, everyone. And that's what I did.
Can I stop you for 1 second? Was this the Global Tsunami email campaign that Dr. Horton was running?
No, actually, it was something on my own, but I was preparing this for many months before what she did. Okay. And I have just included her text in my email. Great. With the translation in French.
Okay.
So 1 week, I think, 8 days maybe after sending maybe 3,000 emails to all the VIP in France. It was the 1st of May, I think. And on the 1st of May, it's the Labor Day. So there is a celebration. People go in the street to celebrate the Labor Day. So I took this occasion to print 500 flyers with the text of the Dr. Catherine Nocturne translated in French, and also one of my texts. And I have distributed this in the streets in Grenoble. And I forgot my USB key in the shop in the city of Voiron, where I had printed this. So I called at the shop and I told them, can I come tomorrow on the 2nd of May and by 12 p.m. and I will take back my USB key. And then on the next day, I was there in the city of Voiron. I was in the city center and I was entering in the street, just a few dozens of meters from the shop. And at that moment, I saw that there was slow traffic. 2 cars in front of me were driving very slow, even they were stopped. And the first car in front of both of us was trying to get parked. Then she get parked, and I was expecting the car in front of me would move forward, and I was releasing my brake, and my car has just came almost into contact with the car in front of me. But there was no damage, no accident, no hit, nothing. And then I saw the 2 person, a man driving and a lady on the passenger seat, and they were not looking behind them to see what was happening behind their car. They were just turning their head to each other, and they were talking for maybe 4 or 5 seconds. And then the man came out of his car, and he came immediately to my side, to my window of my car. And immediately he was shouting at me and asking me to open my window and to get out of my car. And he was shouting about, what did you do to my car? What is this? You are hitting the people with your car in the middle of the street. So he was shouting like that, and I was not understanding because there was no accident, no hit, nothing. And maybe 20 seconds later, the lady came out of the car and she went also joining the man, and she was shouting at me at my window, and she also insisted that I should lower my window and get out of the car. And they were not looking at their car, they were not looking at the damage, and they were not talking about the car insurance or making a report. And no one tried to call the police, neither. And I was not able to understand. So I have just stepped back my car, I have moved my car a little back, and I show them that there is nothing, sir, there is nothing on your car, you can see by yourself, please let me move from here. And they were not agreeing, they were still continuing to shout and making a big scandal. So I decided to move away and to pass their car from the left. And then they moved in front of my car, and with their bodies, the 2 person, they were blocking my car, standing in front of my car in the middle of my way. So I decided to continue moving my car a little, and then the man was standing on the left side of my car, and he was also hitting my window, passing. And the lady stepped back, a few steps back, and then she has jumped on my car, and she was standing on the front window of my car. She was standing like that on the car.
She actually leapt on top of your hood area of your car.
Yeah, and her feet were not standing on the ground anymore. She was just standing like if she was doing a movie, or
a stunt.
A stunt. Yeah. And she was not scared, and she was not shouting, and she was not asking me to stop or begging for, please, can you stop? She silently, and she was just looking at me and also at the back of her shoulder to see where she's going to to land because I was still moving forward. And after turning my wheel on the left, because the road was going on the left, then she slapped one of her hand and she could not stand anymore on the car. So she has rolled on my car and fell on the floor.
Oh
And
my goodness.
at that moment, I decided that I should leave from here because nothing serious has happened. I did not have an accident. I did not try to escape from a real accident, and I did not injure this lady because she has jumped on my car and then she has fell by herself. So I was not thinking I did something wrong. So I just went back to my home.
You went
And
back
then,
home, and then what
yeah,
happened next was the next day something happened, right?
yeah, on the same day, on the very same day,
Oh, the
nothing
same
has
day.
happened.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing has happened. It's only the next day. And the next day, the police station of Voiron has called me a few times on my mobile, and I was not having my mobile switch on. So it was only in the evening I received the message. And the last message was asking me, please, can you come tomorrow morning at the police station? We want to ask you a few questions about a possible car accident that has occurred yesterday in the city center of Voiron. So I decided, okay, that's fine. Tomorrow morning I will go myself. And in the next day, so it was 3 days after the fake accident, I was preparing myself to go. And when I opened my door, I saw the police was in front of my house, and they were ringing. They were ringing, and they were here, and they were a military police big car,
Oh,
and there
wow.
were two military police officers. And there was also the police car, and the police car, there were, I think, four person inside. And so I opened the door, I let them see everything inside my home, inside the garage, and they wanted to see the front of my car, so I showed them the front of my car, and they saw that there was no damage, and they were surprised, and I was a little
They were
surprised that
surprised. So
they
this is
were
a very
surprised.
important. Can I just pause there for one moment? So the police came
Yeah,
and looked at your car, and they noticed that there was no damage to your car,
yeah,
right? And you say they were surprised. So which
yeah,
suggests that they had been told something else by
maybe.
whoever reported this to them,
I
right?
don't know. Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't know, right? But they expressed surprise to you that there was no damage to the car,
yeah, yeah.
and
And
they
then
noted it, and they noted that there was no damage to the car,
yeah, yeah.
right?
But anyway, the military police told to the police, I think obviously that you don't need our help because he's perfectly cooperating. So they have left. And then with the police, they passed me the
Handcuffs?
yes.
Oh
So
my
I
goodness.
was attached from my back, and they placed me inside inside their car, and there were two of them in front of the car, and the third one was on my left. I was behind the car, and then the fourth one was driving my car because they have taken my car.
Oh,
Even if there was no damage, they have taken it, and we drove to the police station for half an hour. We drove to the police station, and in the middle of the drive, I was already trying to explain the situation and the context. I was trying to explain that maybe you are talking about this fake accident that has happened Tuesday, and I can already tell you that it is totally a fake accident, and my guess it is that it is connected to my long situation, my long case of being harassed by the secret services. So during the trip to the police station, I was already trying to explain them everything, and they were listening. They were trying to be listening, but
can I can
obviously,
I ask you one question there? Did they
yeah.
bring this up or did you bring it up?
The topic, it's me who brought the topic immediately because
Okay,
I
because
wanted to make clear that I was going to cooperate and I was going to tell all the truth and nothing but the truth.
Wonderful. But I'm just curious as to when they came, knocked on your door, and they walked into your house and did a search of your house, and then walked down to look at your garage and your car, did they give you any reason, and did they in any way equate it with that event that had just occurred a couple of days ago?
I don't remember. I think they were talking about just they wanted to listen what I have to say about a possible car accident.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So they didn't actually give you any reason. They just said, we need to look at your car. We need to ask you a few questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we were arriving at the police station, and they told me that if I want, I can have the assistance of a lawyer and maybe a visit of a doctor, because I have told them, because I have sent them a mail just the day before going to the police station. The police officer has given me his email on a voice message, so I have sent him exactly the same mail I had sent a week before to the 3000 VIP in France. So he was having all the details about my case and the case of Catherine Horton and all the documents included in that mail. So he was having everything. And later in the police station, I asked him, did you receive my mail? He said, no, I didn't receive it. And it's only a few hours later that he found the mail. It was coming a little late, but it was there. And I asked him, why don't you print this mail and add it to my case? And he said, no, because I think it's a different problem, and we don't want to mix the two different problems. So actually, I had already sent the day before going to the police station everything, all the details, and I had told them that during the night, since many years, it happens to me that I have a lot of pains and I cannot sleep in certain place outside of my home. And I told them, please don't keep me at the police station at night because my health will be in danger. So they told me at the police station, if you want, you can have the visit of a doctor, and then we will see how you can stay there with everything that you need so that you can be safe at the police station if we need to keep you at the police station. So I received the visit of a doctor, and then it took many hours to receive the visit because he was coming from the main city, and it was in Grenoble and I was in Voiron. So the doctor was asking me, you say that you have some kind of pain during the night, and it's making you problem to sleep outside of your home, and you are telling to the police officer that you just had an accident, and it's the reason why you are at the police station, and you have explained to the police officer that it was maybe a kind of trap from the secret services. And I say, yes, this is true. This is all what I said. And he told me, do you know that by telling such a things that you believe that the secret services are after you, and maybe they have entrapped you by a fake car accident? Do you know that you cannot expect people to believe you? And I say, yes, I know it's very difficult for the common people to understand such a situation, but if you want, I can explain you little by little. And he said, no, that's enough. I know what certificate I'm going to write, and I think you can stay in the police station if you take your medication for sleeping, and that is all what I will do. And I don't know what he wrote exactly on the medical certificate, but maybe it was something like delusional or something. So
right.
It has started here.
Yeah, can I ask a couple of questions right here? So basically, this doctor who saw you, was he a psychiatrist or was he a general physician?
Yeah, I think he was a general physician. Yeah.
He was a general physician.
Yeah.
But why did he immediately run to the idea of needing to medicate you to sleep?
No, no, no. It's not a medication he gave me. It's a medication I have since many years because it's helping me to go to sleep without feeling too much the pains that I have during the nights.
Oh, I
So when I met the doctor, I told him the usual medication I take for the night. So he have given me a prescription to have the medication
continue that.
in case I was staying
I
at the
see.
police station.
Okay, okay. So what happened next after that?
So next I saw the lawyer, and it was also a few hours of delay because she was coming from the Grenoble also. And she was not very helpful because she was telling me, you know, the procedure, you are going to be asked many questions by the police officer, and I cannot say anything while you are being questioning. So I will talk to you before, and I will talk to you after, but not in the middle of that. So I have explained her the situation, and she just made a little remark. She told me, maybe you should have stopped your car after the lady fell on the ground, and you should have be sure that she has not been injured. And I said, yes, that's true. But, you know, I was a little scared and I was not knowing what to do. And I didn't want the man standing behind to join me and to try to hit me or something. So I didn't want to get out of my car because it
Mhm.
seemed that it was the purpose of all this trap. It was to get me out of the car and to make me blocked in the middle of this street, and maybe to start a fight or something. So that's the only thing the lawyer said. And in the middle of the inquiry with the police officer, she could have said at least something, because when the police officer he has shown me a piece of paper from the distance, and he pretended that it was a medical certificate with all the injuries of the lady. And
Oh,
I told him, I want to have a counter expertise of this document. I want a new medical certificate. And the police officer refused that. He said, no, I will not give you satisfaction on that. And the lawyer said nothing. And so she was not very helpful. So after seeing the lawyer, then I met the police officer, and he was asking many questions, and I was explaining exactly what has happened, what I told you. And I was also giving my explanation with the context of everything, the background, what has happened a week before, and the mail I have sent, and what has happened a few months before when I was going sometimes distributing flyers in the street protests in Grenoble many months before, and also my situation since 19 years that I am being harassed and under surveillance and being tortured by electromagnetic weapons. So when I told him all the background details, and that my guess was that I was being done a trap by the secret services. So he was not very happy with my explanation, but still he was writing down all my words.
mhm.
And at the end, he was making a very strange conclusion, because from the beginning he was not believing in this harassment and surveillance and even electromagnetic torture. He was not believing anything of that. But at the end, he was telling me, I think you are a dangerous person because you cannot distinguish between a real stalker and an innocent person. So maybe you have hit a lady because you were thinking she's a stalker and she's a professional, she knows how to handle that. But maybe no, maybe it was an innocent person, and then you are dangerous because you cannot distinguish between the two. And I was very astonished to hear such a conclusion from a man who from the beginning said, I don't believe in stalkers, I don't believe in harassment, in all what you say. So
Very interesting. So there's sort of a dual narrative playing out here. So it's clear that he has some awareness, and it's
yeah.
clear that there is some kind of story that's being there's some kind of reframing of the narrative going on here, and some kind of attempt to accuse you of an intentional action against this woman who jumped onto your car and then slid off.
Yeah, and the thing also is, yeah, I forgot.
Well, talking about what he's, that question that perhaps you confused this woman to be a stalker and that you intentionally went after her seems
yeah,
to suggest an awareness of the whole scenario of organized stalking that's in place currently everywhere.
and in the car, while driving to the police station, I think it's in the car, or maybe when we reached the police station, before the doctor came and before the lawyer came, he told me, I think even we have a video of what has happened Tuesday. But after that, he did not mention that anymore. So
that's correct. And that's the other thing. And this is the point that Dr. Horton made on Technocrime Fighters last week or the week before when we talked about this. That there are CCTV cameras everywhere. There are traffic cameras everywhere. So the camera that the police have access to should surely have caught exactly what transpired.
And the camera was there because see, it was here.
Oh wow!
So
can we see that again? Can you just show that?
Yeah. So the camera is here. So it's perfectly easy. The street was this one. So it was this one.
Okay.
Going here, and the camera is here.
Okay.
And
so where were you trying to park? Can you point to where you were trying to park on that street?
Yeah, I was not trying to park. I was just moving to this small street here, and the camera is just here.
Correct. So the camera should have caught it. It's right.
The police officer mentioned that maybe we have a video of that, and it was before the lawyer come and before we talked seriously, and he was just mentioning that maybe like a threat to force me to tell all the truth, but it was already my intent from the beginning. And after that, he never mentioned anymore this possibility of a video. And so I think they might have the video of that, but they did not produce it, and they did not show me what was in there. And maybe the video can prove that I am innocent of everything they accuse me, because they accuse me of a murder attempt to an innocent pedestrian passing by at the place of the spot of the accident. So it is no more the lady who was in the car in front of me who has been hit by me. It's passing by pedestrian. So how could they change the story? Because this is written in the judgment. The judge has written the story that way.
So basically, everything started to take on a very strange turn over here, where the story, the actual experience that you experienced, the event that you experienced, was distorted and reframed, not just to involve this woman who jumped on your car, who actually got out of the car in front of you, but an innocent bystander whom your car supposedly hit. And now you were being accused of some kind of involuntary manslaughter or intentional assault of this bystander.
Yeah. And actually, the police officer was playing a game with me, because he was telling me, sir, we have a complaint. And then we have a medical certificate. And then we have an injury of a lady. And we have witnessed that you have tried to escape. And by escaping from the accident spot, you have hit this lady. So actually, it was all fake. And there was no complaint. There was no medical certificate. There was no injury. There was no one. And even the car and the driver and the passenger, they have vanished and the police was not able to find them back, where they were, who they were. They were not able to find them. And he told me lies from the beginning just to force me to confess more and more acts and details. But I was already trying to be as truthful as possible. But
Absolutely. So to get back to that couple and that woman who jumped in your car, the police actually could not trace them.
No.
Or said
No.
said to you that they could not trace them. They told you that they had no connection with that woman and that man, and basically what they had was a medical certificate and the account of an accident from some innocent bystander who supposedly was hit by a car.
Yeah, and the only information I have from this lady that has been hit is from my car insurance, because my car insurance contacted me because an adverse car insurance or an adverse insurance has contacted her to tell them that I was responsible for an accident of hitting someone. And I have only this information through my car insurance company and not from the police or the judge, because they don't know. They don't have a clue, where is this lady, where is this car. It's only a separate situation, a separate case where someone has complained to my car insurance, and then they have shown to my insurance a medical certificate from the hospital of Voiron. And apparently a lady has shown a medical certificate of injuries, and she has stayed 2 days in the hospital. That's what they shown to my car insurance. But these documents, maybe they have not been shown to the police. The police was not able to find out what was happening there. And there is an inquiry still going on me. So I am still being inquired by the police and the prosecutor and the judge. They are still inquiring, but I don't know if it is related to this injury, to this fake accident, or if it is related to all the things I have done many months before and a couple of years before during my activism in Grenoble. And
very good question. Very good point. And did the insurance company, have you asked them to send you on that documentation that they say that they've received from this woman? Because this is sort of a serious accusation. Surely you have a right to look at those documents.
No, they told me that this is confidential, and this is only a matter regarding the head office of my company and the head office of the adverse company, and no one in between can have the documents. Maybe
not even you.
Not me, and maybe not the police. So this is a total.
Not you and not the police.
Yeah, maybe no. Maybe the police doesn't know about that.
Stranger and stranger.
So actually, they just wanted to make a case and maybe to sue me later for asking me money compensation for the injuries. And maybe they were having different goals, and they have achieved their different goals by different ways. And then I received a letter from my insurance company, and they were telling me your contract will be terminated in October because you are suspected of being responsible of an accident, even if we don't know the real situation, because we are aware that there is a police inquiry about that, and we are not knowing the result of the police inquiry, so we cannot conclude that you are responsible for a car accident, but we suspect that you are responsible, so it is a sufficient reason enough to terminate your contract by October.
That is absolutely amazing and so shocking. So the insurance company, in a sense, appears to be suggests to you that they are in the possession of information that cannot be shared with the police, that cannot be shared with you, but on the basis of which they are going to terminate your contract, and they are going to, in a sense, write you off as a dangerous person who can't be trusted to drive a car.
Yeah. And they are waiting also for the result of the police inquiry to determine if I am responsible of anything. And
Okay.
I just asked them, what if I am not responsible? So what will you do? And they were saying, oh well, maybe we will see if we can take you back in the contract.
Very interesting. Okay, so it seems like there are several parties here that are engaging in little agendas of their own. And I've been trying to figure out all of the many different parties. You say the military police came in with the police, but then they left saying that they didn't have, that they weren't, that they were satisfied, that they didn't need to pursue the matter further. But the local police took you onto the police station, they handcuffed you, they questioned you, they had a doctor come and see you, and then they let you see a lawyer. And then you have the insurance company coming up with a different story
Yeah,
that,
and
that apparently you're privy
my
to.
car is still with the police. They have confiscated my car. It's with the prosecutor of Grenoble now, and I have requested to him if he can handle my car back, and I did not receive any reply. So I called on the phone, and on the phone I was having the secretary, and she told me, well, you know, sir, you are being investigated, so you have to wait for the end of that, and at the end of that you may have your car back, but you will not be informed when the investigation will be terminated. So you have to call every month to check the status of your case.
Oh my goodness, how many months do they imagine this is going to go on for?
I don't know, but you know, they have sent me to the mental hospital after that, and
Okay, so let's talk about that. So how did that exactly transpire? So you were still in the jail, and
yeah,
how did you get transferred?
they have kept me one night in the jail. Yeah.
Okay, and then what happened?
Then on the next day, they told me that I had to be seen by the emergency psychiatrist of the hospital of Voiron,
Okay.
because they were thinking that my explanation and what I have told about my past also, they were thinking it needs a checkup from a psychiatrist to be sure if I can stay in the jail or if I cannot stay in the jail. So they just wanted to clear the situation, and I think they have also called the mayor of Voiron, and he told them, if you think he's having some psychiatrist problem, then send him to a checkup with the psychiatrist of the hospital of Voiron. And if he's having psychiatric issue, then send him to the mental hospital and not to the jail. Because if I am being mentally disabled, then I am not able to stay in a jail. I have to be in a mental hospital instead.
I see. And it's very interesting to me that, the mayor of Rome was called and that he gave the order that you
Yeah.
perhaps need to be moved to a psychiatric institution.
Yeah. And then I have been to see the doctor here, and during half an hour I was talking about my 19 years of story, and on the last 5 minutes I was explaining the fake car accident. And then the psychiatrist told me something very strange. She told me, well, I will not judge you, but I can see that you have passed through many troubles, and you have suffered a lot, and maybe this has caused to you a kind of trauma, and this trauma has never been recognized, and this trauma has never been cured,
Oh
and
my
maybe
goodness.
it is why maybe you have some difficulties to live your life normally currently.
So you
And
said,
then she made this a medical certificate that I cannot be jailed because I was having psychotic issues, and like paranoia, like psycho, like schizophrenia. I don't know exactly what she written in details, but she gave some reason for that I should be put in the mental hospital and not in the jail. So that's what they did at the end of the day. They drove me with an ambulance to the main mental hospital. It's nearby Grenoble. It's in the city of Saint-Égrève.
Okay. Can I ask you about the psychiatrist and your own personal assessment of her? When you were telling the story and she was listening to you and making her assessments that surely you are in the throes of some kind of previously undiagnosed trauma, what was your central intuition about her? Did she appear to have any awareness of directed energy weapons and electromagnetic surveillance from the intelligence agencies and even from local police? Or was she completely in the dark, do you think, about that whole scenario?
Well, when she told me that she will not judge me, and she told me that I have suffered a lot, I was thinking, okay, that is true, I have suffered a lot. And she said, maybe this has caused you like a kind of trauma, and this has never been recognized. I say, yes, that is true. It has traumatized me, and nobody has recognized me as a victim. And this is something very important for a victim, to be recognized as a victim and not as a crazy person. So I was almost starting to believe in this lady. Oh, maybe she's able to see that I am a victim. But at the end, it was not the case. She was only thinking that something has happened, but maybe not in the real life, but only in my head. Something has
I
happened
know,
in
but
my head, and it has made me a possible case of killing myself for being depressed, or killing someone for being too much hurt and being aggressive. So that was a reason for putting me in the mental hospital. But I don't think she was knowing anything about harassment and
the reality,
electromagnetic weapons.
okay, your assessment is that she appeared to have no knowledge whatsoever about directed energy and electromagnetic weapons being used, about global surveillance, all of that. She didn't
No.
appear to be aware, and she wasn't really recognizing you as a victim, obviously, but she was trying to find some kind of psychiatric understanding for what you were experiencing, what you had experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, so then the next thing is you are sent off to the mental institution. What happens there?
So I arrive in what they call this the apex. So the apex is a unit in the hospital that is a temporary unit. So you cannot stay there more than a week. So it's for the people who are first arriving at the hospital, and then they will be dispatched in different places. So for less than a week, maybe 5 days, I was there. And it was a new building. It was very modern building. I was having a big room with my own bathroom, etc. So it was very nice inside. But the problem is that from the beginning, they didn't want to listen to what I wanted to explain them. They just made me repeat what I have already told before, and they just were making the conclusion, okay, is keeping focused on the same thought, and the same thought again. So they made again the conclusion is a kind of paranoid or schizoid, and is obsessed with only the same things. So immediately they gave me some drugs. They didn't wait to check me, how I behave, or what I have to say more, or another thing. So from the first day, I had a pill to take in the morning, and some little. So the pills, it was risperidone, and it was maybe 4 milligrams, and the molecule they gave me for drinking, it was loxapine. And loxapine, so I don't remember the dosage. And it was at the night. And after just one day of having this high dosage of risperidone and loxapine, and the next day, it was maybe Saturday, 6 May, I was completely paralyzed. My back was paralyzed, my neck was paralyzed, the muscle of my face were paralyzed, and I could not breathe. And I was expecting them to react, but they did not. So I decided to not, to become a crazy with a crazy behavior. So I just stayed there in the middle of the room and the hospital and moving around. I was just being very calm, because I wanted to show them that it is not me, the crazy person. It is you. You are poisoning me, and just see by yourself what you did. And I waited the end of the day that I saw a doctor, and I told him, what did you do? You have poisoned me. You should not give me this medicine. Look at what it is doing to me. And the doctor told me, yes, we will remove all this medication. And I said, yes, that's good. That's what I want. You should not give me any medication. This is not good for me, and you can see it by yourself. And he said, no, I cannot give you nothing. I have to give you something, and you have to understand that, sir, under the specific circumstances that you are here. So I say, oh, okay, I understand. So you maybe have to respond to some authorities, maybe the mayor or the prefect or the police commissioner or the prosecutor. So maybe they want me to be under control with a kind of drug. So maybe you cannot, not give me nothing. So he gave me another medication, which is also an antipsychotic, and the molecule name is aripiprazole. And he gave me, I think, 10 milligram. And during the next days, I was having only this medication and also my sleeping pills for sleeping. And they had removed the other drugs. And this new drug, with the low dosage of 10 milligram, it was not having the severe side effects. But still, I was having difficulties to be concentrated. I was having difficulties to think by myself. And so I was not having the severe side effects. So I was thinking, okay, if they want to give me something, maybe it is the less horrific drug they can give me, so let's have it. And I waited a few days more, and then they transferred me to the main ward, where I have stayed there for 1 month. And after 1 month, the Préfet de l'Isère has extended my stay of 3 months more. So I was supposed to not be released from this hospital before the 5th of September. And it's only because I was behaving good, and I was very calm, without any anxiety, without any kind of trouble, because I am not sick at all. So
Right.
the doctors and the nurses, they were observing me for many days, many weeks, and they were sometimes discussing with me. And there was a doctor, the main psychiatrist, who saw me a few times, maybe once or twice a week. And it was the Dr. Bigoshi. And at the beginning, she was very against me. She was very opposed to whatever I was saying. She was making an opposition to what I said. And we were not able to understand each other at the beginning. And after some few weeks passing, I was able to understand that if I did not take a step in her direction, in what she's thinking, if I was not going in her direction, then this could be going on forever and ever, and I would stay in the hospital for I don't know how for how long.
Mm-hmm.
So in the next session where I was discussing with her, she
Mm-hmm.
was trying to take me into her field, and she was trying to explain me how I could be wrong by giving the explanation of some organization from the outside world that who could have organized something against me, and maybe it was not the case. Maybe there could be a simpler explanation, that maybe I could have been influenced by the things I have read on the internet, and maybe I could have thought that it was also happening to me, and actually it was just an impression and it was not really happening to me. And I was thinking, okay, so if I um, oppose myself again to her, then I will never get released from here. So little by little, she made me go in her direction, and little by little, I was admitting, yes, it's possible that my explanation is not the only one. Maybe there is possibly other explanation, and maybe your explanation is possibly the one. And so little by little, I was joining her point of view. So at the end, the conclusion of that was that she decided to release me sooner than the 5th of September, because she released me on the 28th of June. And because she saw that I have done some progress.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I just pretended to do some progress because I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to get released. And she told me also one more thing important. If I want to get released, I have to accept monthly injection of a certain drug to keep me my emotion stabilized, so that I should not start again to become delusional in public place or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw, when she started to tell me this, that the problem was not about to how to avoid the injection. It was not possible. The problem was how to get the less horrific injection as possible. So I tried to make them understand that certain drugs, I was already knowing them, because during my past years, I already visited some psychiatrists, and they already diagnosed me as a psychotic, and they already have given me some different kind of drugs. And I had
Mm-hmm.
the side effect with all of the drugs. I had the side effect. So I just told her, yes, I know this drug. It is not working on me. So she told me three different drugs. So risperidone,
Mm-hmm.
oleanzapine, and quetiapine. And I told her, no, these three drugs, they are having severe side effect on me. You cannot give me this. So finally, she came back to the aripiprazole, which was new for me. I was not knowing this molecule. And I told her, this one, at very low dosage, I can handle this. So she said, okay, you don't want the first three drugs, so I will give you the last one, but I will increase the dosage, because I don't want you to be able uh, to, to, to not have any effect of the medicine, because I want this medicine to have at least the effect of curing you. So I said, okay, do your job, you can increase. And she has increased to 20. And then she has increased to 30. And at that moment, the same side effect came back. And then she decided to decrease to 20 back. But the side effects were still here. So I have begged her, please, please don't keep me under the 20 milligram dosage. Please go back to the 10 milligram. And she was annoyed that I was only interested to change the treatment. And she was thinking, this guy is obsessed by the treatment we give him, like if he was not crazy. But obviously he's crazy. He should be thankful to us to give him a treatment for his craziness. And she decided finally to decrease to 10 milligram. And that's what I get from the injection. I get 300 milligram every 28 days, and it's giving me almost 11 milligram per day. So at this dosage, I have difficulties of concentration. I have difficulties to listen to my music and to enjoy my movies. And I am feeling drowsy and sleepy, but that's the only way to have a half freedom, because it's a freedom under the psychiatric surveillance and under the police surveillance. So that's not easy.
Frederic, you have explained this so well, and you've described it so well. It's so expressive, the whole narrative of how you have been dosed with this drug and the actual effects on you. It's absolutely astonishing to me that, in a sense, what really happened was you became a prisoner of the psychiatrist. You were a prisoner of the psychiatrist. The psychiatrist sort of held the keys to your freedom. And in order for you to even obtain, as you say, a kind of semi-freedom, you felt you had to walk halfway toward her explanations and her understandings, which are so wrong in the face of ongoing neuroweapon and directed energy weapon use on you. And that's something we are going to probe much further in all of our conversations. Um, so I kind of want to emphasize that what really has happened now is you are still not fully free. Based on what the police have told her, based on what the mayor and the prefet, and you told me earlier the prefet in France is like the police commissioner, is that right?
Yeah. He's in charge of all the police of the department, and department in France, it's like a state in the US.
Okay, so sort of the chief of police in that area.
Yeah.
In American terms, I'm just trying to find an analogy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the prefect, the local police, the mayor have all colluded in a sense to have the psychiatrist be the arbiter of your fate. And the psychiatrist, both the doctor at that hospital who said to you, we can't give you nothing, even though you had just experienced the most massive toxic reaction to the kind of drugs that they pumped into your body at that time, which they could see and which they ignored for an entire day before they acceded to your request to change the dosage or change the drug. All of these people could see what was going on, and yet they clung to their guns and they said, no, we have to give you something. We have to give you a dosage. And this person, the psychiatrist, who was kind of playing around with dosages, 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams, 30 milligrams, and then coming back to 20 and then 10 of this drug, Abilify, I think is what it's called, right? Aripiprazole. Yeah, so she's giving you an injection now every month, 300 milligrams of this incredible antipsychotic, which has the deadly effect of blanking you out, destroying concentration and focus, destroying all normal functioning of your cognitive processes and your ability to exist as a free and joyful individual in the world. You are now under this regime where for 6 months, right up till September, you are going to have to go in to get a forced injection. So this sounds absolutely medieval. And the question arises, do you have a lawyer? Is the lawyer looking into your case? Is the lawyer combating this incredibly medieval decree that you need to be force injected in this fashion?
No, I have tried to contact maybe 2 or 3 lawyers, and they didn't want to take my case. So I don't have a lawyer.
I see. They didn't want to take your case, perhaps because there is a connection with secret services, with secret surveillance, covert surveillance, and electronic surveillance?
Yes, maybe because I think in the profession of lawyers, they know that if someone is coming to talk about secret services or things like that, it's probably not a good thing to take his case, and maybe it's better to send him to a psychiatrist. I remember a few years before, I have already tried to go by myself to see
Mhm.
some lawyers, and that's one of them told me. He told me, "Sir, I don't think your case is. I can help you about it. You will find better help from a psychiatrist."
Mm-hmm. Okay, so one of the things I'm hoping that this conversation and succeeding conversations that we have together, Frederic, will do is that we're going to try to get some help for you, ways in which to
Okay.
combat the situation where literally you're being held hostage to a psychiatrist and being forced to take deadly toxic medications that destroy your brain. So, and
Yeah.
obviously your life, you know. So,
Yeah.
hopefully, you know, I'm very hopeful that we can move forward toward that. And I have in mind a few people perhaps that we can invite onto joint conversations with you. And I will try to contact these people shortly so that we can
Okay.
talk about this whole issue of psychiatry and how to combat this repressive use of political psychiatry in this day
Mm.
and age together. So at this point in time, I'm looking at the time and we've kind of come up to the 1 hour mark. So
Yeah.
what I'm thinking now, Frederic, is perhaps that we take a break and we can close out this show and we can
Hmm.
come back perhaps in 15 or 20 minutes and do what we had initially planned to do, which is go into the first part of your story. So take the readers back in time to 1998, when
Yeah.
all of this covert surveillance and covert harassment began for you. So we
Yeah.
begin to really lay the groundwork for the actual scenario that you have experienced. That, by the way, you are not the only one who has experienced this kind of scenario. As you know, the reason I'm probing these cases and these stories is because hundreds and thousands of people around the world are experiencing it. And this
Yeah.
has to be challenged, it has to be exposed, and it has to be terminated. It's
Yeah.
wrongful surveillance, it's wrongful harassment, and it's wrongful use of weapons on civilians. So we need
Yeah.
to take steps to stop it. So
Yeah.
if you're okay with that, shall we go
Okay.
ahead and close out the session? And
Yeah.
then we'll come back again in a few minutes. So,
Okay.
wonderful. So I'll just thank you very much on behalf of all of our listeners at this point for, you know, taking the time and the emotional energy to go back into these very important events to give readers an
Yeah.
understanding, viewers an understanding of what's going on. And we'll pick up your story
Okay.
again very shortly. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.